I really like Emma's throaty laughter, like the ho ho ho. I just find it so adorable. It's like she has such a petite frame, and the contrast between that manly throaty laughter and her small frame is just chef's kiss. Hey crew, welcome to the Spiritual Cosmos. I'm Lexi. Welcome to ASTROBABES, the series in which I interpret the birth charts of famous female celebrities for your viewing pleasure. In today's episode, we will be looking at the birth chart of Emma Stone. I firmly believe that American actress Emma Stone doesn't require an extensive introduction. I'm sure that by now you must have heard of her and you must have seen at least one of her films. She's been a very hardworking actress, and especially in recent years, she's been actually starring in movies back to back. So some of the movies in which you may have seen her involve the really fun teenage comedy Easy A, in which she really stole the show. A couple of other of her movies that were quite popular were the movies in which she paired up alongside Ryan Gosling, one of my all-time favorite Hollywood actors. So you may have seen her in Crazy Stupid Love, a really fun romantic comedy, or La La Land, a melancholic musical. She also starred in the spin-off to the 101 Dalmatians story, playing the evil Disney villain, Cruella. Now, Cruella wasn't really so critically acclaimed. A lot of critics tore it down, but critics really enjoyed her partnership with Greek director Yorgos Lanthimos. She starred in about 3 of his movies, most of which won a lot of awards. We saw her in The Favorite, Poor Things, and more recently, Kinds of Kindness. I think out of all 3 of them, although I really enjoyed the cinematography and the design of Poor Things, my favorite was The Favorite. Obviously, those of you who are fans of Spider-Man know her from that movie as well, starring alongside Andrew Garfield, who also happened to be her off-screen sweetheart for a couple of years. They broke off their relationship amidst a lot of fans really decrying this breakup, but I do think that they weren't really so well matched. In a way, I'm kind of happy to see that she's happily married and having a child at the moment. I'll talk a little bit about this when I reach her Venus placement, but for the time being, we are just doing her movie recap. So all I need to tell you is that among her cinematography, one role that I really like, and it hasn't been so easily spotlighted in her career, was playing alongside Michael Keaton in the movie Birdman. I really enjoyed her in that part. I thought she had a very magnetic, weird, haunting quality. Now that I gave you a little bit of a flavor related to Emma's work, I do need to tell you that in this clip, I'm only going to be focusing on the 5 key aspects that really stand out in my personal viewpoint as an astrologer from her chart. I don't have time to get into all the nitty-gritty details of her birth chart. It can take months to study a birth chart in depth, but for the time being, I just want to give you some bite-sized information and to get you to feel excited not only about Emma's chart, but maybe the interpretation of your own chart and astrology in general. So I don't mean to make this video too long. I don't mean to bore you. I just want to stimulate your appetite for astrological analysis. But before I jump into an analysis of the 5 key points that really stand out to me from Emma's chart, here is her birth chart. The first thing is the fact that she has a sun in Scorpio in the 3rd house conjunct Pluto. This is a really powerful placement because she has her sun doubled up in its Scorpionic energy by its natural ruler, the planet Pluto. So a Scorpio naturally is ruled by Pluto, and then having your sun conjunct Pluto, it's like you're an amped up Plutonic, which gives you a lot of intensity, a lot of magnetism, but it can also amplify the more negative traits of the sign, such as increased obsessiveness, fear of other people, weird anxieties that creep up from nowhere, and also a desire to be really private, to be secluded, to hide yourself, to run away from life's big challenges. And it is known the fact that Emma has been very vocal about her fears and anxieties, that she's a very anxious person, that it took her years to separate from her mother, that she used to have all sorts of tics and all sorts of issues with comforting herself because of this heightened anxiety. You can see that this behavior that she describes in interviews is very clearly represented in her chart by this doubly Plutonic energy. A sun in Scorpio makes her incredibly magnetic. It makes her, to a large extent, focused on dark topics in life. She is aware of the darker side of human nature. She's not afraid to investigate certain darker topics, but in order to become fearless and become brave, she actually needs to face up to these fears. A Scorpio is also a fixed water sign, so this means that with the proper application of everyday discipline, Scorpios can actually manage to overcome their fears and find a lot of inner strength and a lot of passion and a lot of power. They are the sign of power, the sign of deep intimacy and trust. So by establishing meaningful connections with people around them, Scorpios can actually make the world a safer place for them to dwell in, and they may reduce their anxiety. The worst thing that a Scorpio can do is go about everything on their own. They actually thrive much better when they establish lucrative partnerships with people that they work with and that they love. Now, it's really interesting, but the planet Mercury is actually sitting on the cusp between the sign of Libra and the sign of Scorpio. We see it in her chart as being at the anaretic 29th degree. I was very tempted initially when I had to look at her chart to say, oh, she has Mercury loosely conjunct from her Sun and Pluto almost perfect conjunction. But no, that wasn't the case. Her Mercury is in Libra at the 29th degree, which shows that her mind is very ripe. She's a highly intelligent being, but she may struggle to actually come across as persuasive and balanced in her conversations because of the fact that a lot of the things that she could say sometimes could end up shocking people and lead to her own self-sabotage. That is the energy of a 29th anaretic degree. No matter where you have it in your chart, it can show a point of destruction, a point where if you act upon the ego, it may end up leading to your downfall. And we see very clearly that Emma has this energy relatively close to her Sun, or if you want to be specific, at the midpoint between her Venus and her Sun. And it is pointing to the fact that she has to be very mindful how she thinks about things. She has to really check in with her mindset, and she has to be careful how she words and phrases things in personal communication, because it could actually lead to a foot in the mouth kind of effect, which can negatively impact her career and public image. She does have a likable public image because having your Sun in the 3rd house makes you a person that's very friendly. You borrow traits from the sign of Gemini, and this doubly Plutonic energy is kind of coated underneath this energy of cheerfulness and being helpful and being very witty and kind of like being mercurial, which basically means that she always has something that she's thinking of. She makes friends easily and she doesn't take herself too seriously. This is the blessing of having a Sun in the 3rd house. Your life revolves around reading, writing, communication, and you come across as very savvy, youthful, and progressive. There is a certain je ne sais quoi, a certain youthfulness and attractiveness about you, even in old age, and people come to you for advice because they think that you are the person that has the right kind of information. So in spite of the fact that she has a Sun in Scorpio, which can be a very dark, obsessive, sexy, magnetic energy, she comes across as very likable and sweet and playful and very humorous as well, because of this Sun in the 3rd house placement that colors her entire vibe in a really likable, mischievous, and attractive energy. The second point I want to talk to you about is her Ascendant in Leo. Now, the Ascendant is our public persona, how we come across in terms of our style, how people are attracted to us. The Ascendant shows the type of opportunities that we draw into our lives, and because she is an actress, having a Leo Ascendant is so well placed for her. That means she gets to work with the best people, people that are placed in positions of power, people that are natural born entertainers. She gets to work with celebrities and superstars. So having a Leo Ascendant is perfect for her choice of career for show business. Not only that, but it does color her personality a little bit in this feisty, warm, and combative kind of side. She is a person that is not afraid of a challenge. She is somebody that can come across as very strong-willed, as somebody that doesn't back down in a fight, but actually locks horn with her opponent and ends up usually winning. In spite of her size, in spite of the fact that she's cute and adorable, Emma has a lot of strength strength inside of her, and her Leo ascendant kind of gives her this beautiful sheen of power and authority. I do attribute this to the fact that she does come across more powerful when she has red hair rather than blonde or any other color. I think that red hair fits her so well, and red is this color of light and vitality and warmth, so it fits so beautifully with this Leonic fire sign energy. There is a little bit of a contrast there, because the first time when you meet her, you think, oh my god, she's such a jovial person. Look at her, she's not afraid of anything. Wow, I really love her confidence, her bright smile, her winning personality. But then as you gradually get to know Emma, all the other parts of her chart come out to play. So you may find that she can also have an obsessive side, that she can also ruminate over things, that she is quite private, that she enjoys intimacy and one-to-one type of interactions rather than the adoration of the public. She is a person that really values family, that is quite secretive. All those Scorpionic traits come out to play. And because Scorpio is a dark feminine energy and Leo is such a masculine, bright, public energy, there is this weird contrast that could come across in her personality. People may sometimes be displeased by the fact that when they first met her, they thought she's so confident, but as they get to know her, all of a sudden these anxieties come up. It's like, where is this coming from, Emma? So there is this contrast between light and dark inside of her, and it is given by the rulership of these fixed signs, having Leo energy on your ascendant being ruled by the bright effulgent sun, but then having a sun that is darkened by Pluto, and in addition to this amped up by a conjunction to Pluto, which adds an extra layer of depth, mystery, and secretiveness. One thing I need to mention about this placement is that with a Leo ascendant, she has a 7th house in Aquarius, which means that in her personal relationships, she can be a little bit emotionally detached, aloof, a little bit wacky, cerebral. She is an individual that prioritizes her partner's freedom, independence. She likes to do her own thing. She respects her partner's own thing. She is independent, and she also cares a lot about her friends, her group of friends, her group of co-workers. They mean a lot to her. And another thing I need to add is something that I mentioned with her Mercury placement as well. She not only has Mercury in Libra at the final 29th anaretic degree, but there is also her ascendant placed there at the 29th degree of Leo. Well, this means again, she's wrapping up some really important karmic issues in this lifetime. The 29th degree, as I mentioned, is a degree of instability. It shows a couple of things. Your experience as a soul with that specific energy is coming full circle, has ripened. You know very well how to be an ascendant in Leo, or you know very well how to use your mind and your abilities as a Mercury in Libra. However, because it is a concluding degree, it also carries with it frequency of instability. And this means that it can lead you to massive problems. It can lead you to downfalls. Person that has a lot of 29th degrees in their chart shows a person with a destiny that can change like this in a minute. One moment they are on top of the world, the next moment they are beggars and looking for pennies on the ground. So I really hope that Emma is able to navigate through these chaotic waters. I mean, she is the sign of change. As a Scorpio, she really knows how to come to life in situations of crisis and emergency. So I do believe that she was equipped with the right kind of astrological powers in order to navigate life's chaotic waters. But at the same time, yes, there is this word of caution related to her ascendant and her Mercury placements that are at the final concluding 29th degree, that this shows a point of self-destruction related to the opportunities she attracts towards her, the ascendant, and the way she thinks and speaks about herself and her accomplishments, Mercury. The third significant aspect that stands out in my eyes is the fact that she has a Jupiter in Gemini in the 10th house, and it is relatively close to the midheaven. Well, I am happy to say that Emma is actually experiencing her Jupiter return as we speak. From the middle of 2024 until the middle of 2025, the planet Jupiter, the great benefic, the planet of good luck and growth, is in the airy, flexible sign of Gemini. And because she has this energy in her natal chart, this shows that the planet Jupiter is returning to the same place it was when she was born. So this brings with it a lot of liberation, a lot of freedom, an influx of wealth. Finally, she's getting a break. the planet Jupiter travels through a specific sign once every 12 years. So it seems that for Emma, whatever good work she's been doing in the last 11 years, she's now finally reaping the benefits. Things are going to flow more easily for her in the next year, especially in terms of how the public perceives her and in terms of how she is able to communicate to other people at work. The 10th house is all about the legacy that we leave behind. She's been doing such great work. As I mentioned, she's been starring in a lot of movies back to back in the last years. And not only that, but she also became a mother at the same time. So I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed with her development. And I definitely believe that only a person with a sun in Scorpio and an ascendant in Leo can handle this amount of stress all at the same time. Whatever good luck comes to her, it's also because of the fact that she put in a lot of hard work. It's not just randomly receiving a gift from above. But it is true that when we are having a Jupiter return, things seem to work more easily for us, especially if we have other personal planets in conjunction with Jupiter. Now, from her chart, I don't see that Emma has any planets conjunct Jupiter. Her Jupiter is allowed to just fly its freak flag high on top of the 10th house. Again, that is another very visible point of a person's chart. The midheaven also shows what this person will be remembered by, what achievements she will accomplish. Gemini, unfortunately, isn't the best energy to have the planet Jupiter in because it is the sign of small things. It is about details, local things, ordinary lives, while Jupiter, the natural ruler of Sagittarius, rules big things, cosmic endeavors, life philosophy, the structures of societies. So when you have such magnanimous energy in such a small and cute and miniature minded sign, this is an energy that tends to kind of bump heads, but nonetheless it is benefic to a certain extent. A Jupiter in the 10th house also shows that she is perceived well by the public. She is a person that people enjoy working with. She also knows a lot of famous people. She hangs around at work with big names and people that are quite wealthy. A Jupiter in the 10th house also shows that from a very early age, she knew what she wanted to become. She may have felt this strong calling. A vocation was established very easily in her life right before her. And no matter what other choices she may have made, there was a sense of fate pushing her towards a specific profession. And I do recall hearing that she said in an interview that she wanted to become a baker and that she was struggling with anxiety. She didn't know what kind of occupation was good for her. And it so happened that she fell into acting. Well, that so happened that she described is related to this placement, Jupiter in the 10th house. And Gemini also shows partnerships. She does really well in directorial partnerships. And what do you know? The director that continuously gives her role upon role is Greek director Yorgos Lanthimos, who happens to be a sun in Gemini. So it's important to keep in mind that the person that has the sun in the same position as our Jupiter placement is a person that will continuously make you happy and give you opportunities and give you money and give you a sense of happiness, growth, and optimism like none other. So ideally, you would want to work with or get married to a person whose energy, especially their solar energy, touches upon your Jupiter if you want to have a happy partnership. And I see that it's working really well for Emma and Yorgos. They seem to be having a really prolific creative partnership. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what zany, weird ideas they would come up with. Perhaps it's important to say as well that her midheaven is in Taurus. So it's a sign that is ruled by Venus. She has this enduring appeal of a person that's beautiful and kind of stubborn in her choice of roles. No matter what you do, Emma will not back down. She will not go away. She'll continue acting whether you like it or not. And she's an individual that seems to be growing in beauty as the years pass, although some people have speculated that she has had some plastic surgeries, but then again, who doesn't in Hollywood, right? Nonetheless, she is a person who will leave behind a very beautiful legacy, very feminine, very beautiful, and also quite experimental, because the combination of Gemini and Taurus gives off this energy of somebody who's a little bit of a maverick, but also keeps one foot firmly grounded in tradition. The fourth placement that stands out from her chart is the fact that that she has a Mars conjunct her North Node. Wow, this is a placement that is currently being drilled to the ground with effort and pressure by the transit of the planet Saturn in the sign of Pisces. And she has this energy in the 7th house, which is the house of love, partnerships, long-term contracts, and marriage. So I can see that it wasn't easy for her to choose her partner. I can see that her relationships tend to be quite passionate. They begin quite fast, but they could also end up in massive arguments and blow-ups. Not at all a good placement for love and marriage, because it does show these impulsive moments, these moments that you may not even be aware of come over you and happen in your personal connections that lead to conflict and competition. I do see that for Emma, it was harder to learn the dancing routines and to perform, to allow herself to just flow and just be, because when you have a North Node in Pisces, you have automatically a South Node in Virgo. And this means that her comfort zone is perfectionism. Her comfort zone is needing to have a schedule, needing to be told what to do. She likes to control her environment, and she likes to know what is going to come next. She likes predictability. She's a loyal character. She's a hard worker, and she finds it very hard to let go of things. She finds it very hard to just go with the flow, to trust that everything is going to work out, to allow herself to be a little bit messy and a little bit more creative, soft, and forgiving. That's her growth zone. That's her comfort zone. We see there with Pisces energy, she has to learn how to let loose a little bit, how to be more romantic, how to allow people to sweep her off her feet, how to be a bit more dreamy. She may also go through frequent disappointments in this lifetime. She may have to join a religion only to lose her religion. There may be this temptation to be very critical of religion in general with the North Node in Pisces, and having Mars conjunct the North Node, it does show that she comes to these moments of great spirituality and great creativity only after having undergone some sort of inner conflict, some sort of battle of wills with partners in her life, which is only a reflection of the internal struggle she feels inside. So the great anxiety that I mentioned at point 1 when we were talking about her Sun and Scorpio conjunct Pluto is also connected to the fact that she finds it comfortable to stay in Virgo energy. That is her South Node, her karmic destiny. This is what she is good at. In circumstances that put her outside of her comfort zone, she starts behaving like a Virgo. She needs to organize, she needs to clean the environment, she needs to know what she can rely upon, she makes lists, she has a plan, and this is how she somehow manages chaos. But what she needs to do is to let go of this energy in favor of just trusting that when situations of crisis are provoked in her life, it's all going to be taken care of. Somehow, God is going to come through and it will organize everything, and everything will fall into place in a perfect way without her immediate intervention. So in this lifetime, she needs to know, she needs to really get in touch with the tempo of things, with the rhythm of life, knowing when to hold back and when to intervene, when to be softer and when to be rough. She needs to know when to rehearse and for how long to rehearse for a specific role, and when to just stop and allow the creative moratorium to take place and just embody a specific character and run with it, run with the feeling, run with the energy that is present to her in that specific moment. Another thing to note related to transits is that Emma is going to be having, on top of her Jupiter return, her nodal return as well. From the 11th of January 2025, the nodes of the moon are going to switch from the current South Node in Libra, North Node in Aries transit to a South Node in Virgo and a North Node in Pisces transit. So in the next 11 months from the first month of 2025, Emma is actually going to be pushed in this direction of needing to trust the divine, needing to let go of control, and allowing for things and people to fall into place organically without too much of her intervention and her need to know exactly how things are going to play. For Emma, going on the path of her growth zone has been a challenge. And this challenge has been from hidden enemies, has taken at times also some really weird weird, lewd, sexual undertones, because Pisces is the sign of sexuality and creativity, but it's also, like Scorpio, the sign of hidden, secret things that happen behind closed doors. I'm sure that Emma has a couple of really weird casting stories to recount, but in a true Scorpio fashion, she'd rather keep everything for herself and just show this image of strength and power. I also believe that in her personal connections, she tends to be the one that takes the first step. She is the initiator most of the time, which could emasculate her partners as well. Although with her current partner, she seems to be quite compatible, not only in terms of her sun sign placement, but also in terms of this North Node placement, because her current partner is a sun in Cancer, and this energy is very harmonious to both her Scorpio and Piscean vibes. And we reach the final placement, the only one that unfortunately we have time for. We see there in Emma's chart that she is a moon in Libra conjunct Venus, conjunct the part of fortune, and very loosely conjunct Mercury at the 29th degree. Venus is domicile in Libra. This means that the energy of love, of self-worth, of the way in which she earns money are flowing very beautifully in her life. She is a fair partner. She is a just and caring friend. She is an individual that really loves beautiful things that smell good. She has a good sense of style. She's very elegant. She likes good materials. She enjoys witty conversations. She loves to go to parties and weddings and dress up for events. She is a really good host. Not only that, but a Venus in Libra shows an individual that is very charming in the way in which they speak. She has this gift of gab. She manages to make people laugh and puts them at ease. And through this, she is able to establish good negotiations with them. She can be quite persuasive in getting what she wants as long as she cracks a joke or puts herself in a more modest position. She knows exactly what to say and what to do to charm people, to get her to do her bidding. She doesn't need to have to use a strong arm or use threats. No. Emma is the kind of individual that's very aware that you can get a lot more things in life with honey rather than poison. Now, the fact that her Venus is conjunct her moon, this means that this is a person with a very strong sweet tooth. She may enjoy eating a lot of sweets. Unfortunately, seeing how incredibly thin she has been recently, I'm not sure that she partakes in that too much, which I can understand can be very hard for a moon conjunct Venus person, because usually individuals that have any points or any aspects between their moon and their Venus have a very strong and loving connection with their mother figure, but they also develop this passion for anything that is pleasurable and sweet in life. They are not at all fighters. They are lovers. They are individuals that prefer cozy things, that want everybody to get along, especially since we see these very soft feminine energies in one of the most feminine signs of the zodiac, naturally ruled by Venus, the sign of Libra. So this is the sign of the peacemaker, the lover, the artist, the poet, the lover of fine things in life. Not only that, but there is an undertone of contrast with Libra as well, as we saw it with her Sun in the third house, which borrows traits from Gemini, another dual contrasting sign. We see here as well that Emma has this kind of duality about the way in which she is in private. So at home, as the mother with her partner, when nobody's looking, she can be an individual that can be quite contrasting. One moment she's very just and fair and she can be quite strict and disciplined. The next moment she's very harmonious and she can be quite sweet and cute. Libra energy carries these two elements. As you know, Libras are constantly made to look for balance because they can be quite imbalanced. So this natural state of inner imbalance could also contribute to the heightened anxiety she mentioned she might be feeling. Adding this on top to her South Node in Virgo, her Sun conjunct Pluto, this is a very strong energy of a person that's constantly being pushed through her work, through her choice of partners, to find her inner balance. A moon in Libra also shows a woman that enjoys beautiful perfumes. This is a person that could literally get sick if she is surrounded by loud noises, by bad smells, and by ugly things. A moon in Libra really needs for her environment to be in some way cozy, harmonious, and beautified. And she may also bring this energy into any other environment that she walks into. So Emma carries this energy of beautifying her environment. She is quite fair and she expects to be treated in the same way that she treats other people. peaceful. If not, she can get quite irate. We have that Mars conjunct North Node energy, but we also have that Leo ascendant. So combined, her Leo ascendant and Moon in Libra show that she really is a lover of justice. She is a lover of fair and equal rights for everybody. Nobody should be on top of anybody else. Everybody should be treated in the same way, commensurate to the way that they treat other people. So in case Jupiter didn't push her into the limelight by having that strong presence in the 10th house, she would have made a wonderful prosecutor or lawyer. And if we take that North Node in Pisces energy, she would have been wonderful at defending people that are disabled or that are struggling to actually pay for their fees, people that are in some way vulnerable in society. She really thrives at helping specifically these types of people. Now we also see a really beautiful element there. It's a point in a chart that I don't speak so much about, although there is a world of information related to this specific placement. We see there a circle with a little cross inside of it. That is an Arabic part, and it is called the part of fortune. The part of fortune really shows how you attract wealth towards you and what could actually bring you prosperity in this lifetime. Having the part of fortune conjunct the moon and Venus, I can see that her mother is a really wonderful blessing in her life, because the moon shows how we nurture other people, but also how we were nurtured while we were growing up. So I can see that her mother is somebody that was very kind and caring and just, a person that would treat her with a lot of sweets and would be very kind and giving. Her mother increased her wealth and her prestige and was overall a very benefic energy. Not only that, but Emma really thrives in the role of a mother. Having a child really makes her happy and attracts towards her more wealth. Paradoxically, you would think about the fact that having a child in this current economy is actually a problem from a financial point of view, but in Emma's case, it actually increases her public standing and how people are able to take her more seriously at work and as a public personality. In addition to this, having Venus conjunct the same kind of energy shows that the people that she tends to fall in love with also bring her benefits, whether it is that they help her with a choice of roles, whether it is that they help her with money. In some way, she extracts fortune and prosperity from her loving partnerships. For example, her marriage or all the boyfriends that she had in the past. So again, we see that if she puts effort into her partnerships and tries to temper down that passionate, conflict-prone energy, if she manages to temper that down, she actually benefits a lot from mothering and nurturing other people and loving them and being in partnerships. Now, I could talk a little bit more about the other placements, such as her Uranus conjunct Saturn in Sagittarius or her Neptune in Capricorn, but these are mostly generational markers. For example, these pertain to people that were born towards the end of the 80s, part of the millennial generation. I too have these placements in my chart, but in a different house than Emma, so they are not so important. The important thing that we need to look at is if they make any aspects to the personal planets. One thing I need to say is that even her Saturn in Sagittarius is at an anaretic point, the 29th degree. So Emma already has 2 planets and 1 point, her ascendant, at the 29th anaretic degree, which again shows a lifetime of changes of situation, moments of going up and down, a carousel ride of situations that could turn chaotic and may change her fortune overnight. This can be both good and bad. For example, she could all of a sudden, she may have been single for a very long period of time, and then boom, all of a sudden she meets the love of her life. But it could also mean her downfall. For example, she says something rude in an interview, people blow it out of proportions, and all of a sudden she gets fired from a really important role. I would strongly recommend that after you listen to this clip, have a look in your own chart and see if you have any planets or points at the 29th degree, and try to analyze a little bit your experiences with that specific energy. Well, that's all I have time for. It's a wrap up. Thank you so much for listening. It's been a pleasure creating this video for you guys. I really hope that you have enjoyed it. Comment down below and let me know, do you like Emma? Do you dislike her? Have there been certain roles that you liked more than others? What do you think about her placements? Do you have some placements in common with her? Are you also a Scorpio? What do you think about her choices of roles? Let's start off conversation, guys. I'm really happy to read your comments. Also, if you want to get in touch with me outside of YouTube for a personal birth chart report, just so you know, I'm a certified astrologer. I have a range of services available on my website. They are affordably priced, and I also have unique reports such as the Synastry report, but also a love asteroids report, which is unique on the market. So feel free to get in touch with me for that. But if this is where I leave you, thank you for your support. Thank you for your subscription. Thank you for liking this video. And I cannot wait to see you in the next episode of Astro Babes.